A Bullets YouTube channel.
Hurry up, now tell us why you're here.
The Mean Green Car Chicks will be suspended for the rest of the season because he illegally raced last race. And starting at pole position is Lightning McQueen, and to his outside, Cal Weathers. Row 2 has Jeff Gorvette and the Rocket, Ryan Newcar, to his outside. Row 3 has Tony Gasworth, the 2002 Piston Cup champion, and Bobby Swift to his outside. Row 4 has Kyle Buschtire and Carl Edwards to his outside. Row 5 has Jimmy Cables and Juan Papa Montoya, once again starting 10th. Row 6 has Clint Bocar and Mark Carton to his outside. I hope he can win. Row 7 has Greg Beeple and Brick Yardley to his outside, the winner of the 2008 Florida 500. And Row 8 has Brick Hicks and Denny Carlin, who is very inconsistent. Row 9 has Mike Yankee Jr. and Phil Tankson. These two are good friends. Row 10 has Jeff Burnton the Jumper and David Rudikar, who surprised everyone last race. Row 11 has Samuel Serpentino and Morey Clutchburn, the 1989 Piston Cup champion. Row 12 has Martin Karks Jr. and Todd Marcus, who is inconsistent. Row 13 has Kevin Carvick, who is not doing very well, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. to his outside. Row 14 is Kurt Buschtire, who shouldn't say a certain word, and Casey Corner to his outside. Row 15 is Joey Logierno and Brad Karslowski. I wonder if they'll do anything. Row 16 is Bogart Hopscotch, Samuel Serpentino's rival, and David Raycar to his outside. Row 17 is T.G. Castlenut and Reb Meeker. I hope they don't DNF. Row 18 has Ricky Axel making his first start this season, and Chip Gearings to his outside. Row 19 has Matt Karzith, who's always in the back, and Jack DePost. Row 20 has Ernie Gearson, who is now feeling better, and Rex Revler, who has won one race. Row 21 has AJ Carmeninger and Jamie McCarry to his outside, and starting in 43rd is Tommy Highbanks. And these 9 cars, among many others, failed to qualify for this race. Now into the race. Lightning McQueen would lead for the first 36 laps before he'd lose the lead to Jeff Gorvette, who would lead for 2 laps before he'd lose the lead to Tony Gasworth, who would lead all the way until lap 45. But, unfortunately, Dale Earnhardt Jr. would be out on lap 41 because of an engine failure, and Lightning McQueen will once again be back in the lead before Denny Carlin would take the lead from him on lap 82, leading until lap 97, where Casey Corner would take the lead, leading until lap 101. But Kyle Buschtire would be second as of that lap, where he wrecks who? Casey Corner, who's now out. And unfortunately, Kyle Buschtire would take the lead after the restart. And his older brother Kurt would be 16th as of lap 128, where he wrecks Ricky Axel. Why? And then Kurt Buschtire says this: Kurt Buschtire, don't say that word. On lap 147, Kyle Buschtire would lose the lead to Jamie McCarry, and then he'd lose the lead to Bobby Swift 2 laps later. And he'd lead until lap 155, where Ryan Newcar, the Rocket, would take the lead from him. And he'd lead until Denny Carlin would take the lead from him on lap 162. 4 laps later, Ryan Newcar would be back in the lead, leading for 2 laps before Jimmy Cables would take the lead from him. He'd lead for 10 laps, but unfortunately, on lap 175, T.G. Castlenut would accidentally wreck himself while trying to wreck Joey Logierno. But Joey Logierno is still out. On lap 178, Jeff Gorvette would take the lead and lead until lap 194, where Chip Gearings would take the lead off of pit cycles. And after pit stops are done, Morey Clutchburn would take the lead from him, leading for 8 laps. But unfortunately, now he's down a lap because he took a long pit stop. And then Kyle Buschtire would take the lead from him, leading for 6 laps before the jumper, Jeff Burnton, would take the lead for himself, leading until lap 214, where Cal Weathers would take the lead from him, leading for 13 laps before Bobby Swift would retake the lead, leading for 14 laps But then David Raycar would be out on lap 247 because of an engine failure. Rex Reveler would take the lead on lap 251 and lead for 2 laps before Jimmy Cables would retake the lead, leading for 2 laps before Lightning McQueen would retake the lead, leading all the way until lap 298. But then Kyle Buschtire would bump him into the wall. Why? And then he would take the lead for himself, leading until lap 332. And Lightning McQueen would be down 2 laps as a result of being bumped. Mike Yankee Jr. would take the lead on lap 332 and lead until the final lap. Bogart Hopscotch would be 31st as of lap 333, where he wrecks his rival Samuel Serpentino. Of course he does that. And Lightning McQueen would be back on the lead lap with 2 laps to go. And Mike Yankee Jr. would be the winner of the 2010 Rev and Go 350, where Jimmy Cables would finish 2nd, Kyle Buschtire 3rd, Bobby Swift 4th, and Jeff Gorvette rounding out the top 5. And here is the top 20 of the race, with the Rocket Ryan Newcar finishing 6th, and Jeff Burnton the Jumper finishing 7th. Rep Meeker and Rex Reveler didn't DNF. Hooray! And Jamie McCarry just barely misses out on a top 10. Matt Karzith would finish 13th, leading 0 laps, of course, just ahead of Lightning McQueen, who's had his worst finish this season. Inconsistent Todd Marcus rounds out the top 20, just ahead of Denny Carlin, who's also inconsistent. And Brick Hicks is still finishing in the bottom half of the field. And somehow, Kevin Karvik somehow finishes below 30th for some reason. But at least Ernie Gearson is not the last car on the lead lap. Jack DePost is the last car to finish on the lead lap, finishing 35th. And here is the top 20 in points. Dale Earnhardt Jr., who finished 43rd, fell out of the top 20, being replaced by Phil Tankson, who is very popular right now. And, of course, I put some stuff under the status label. Because how or why Matt Karzith is still in the top 10, despite leading only 1 lap this season.
Remember to press the notifications button, which goes ring, ring, ring after you press it. And lightning strikes back, and that's as if you subscribed, of course. And thank you for watching this entire video.
Due to recent consistency, Bobby Swift now climbs into 2nd in points. Still, 521 points behind the points leader, Lightning McQueen, who only just managed his 2nd finish outside of the top 10 this season. How? It's been 17 races! And also, Matt Karzith is still in the top 10. And the Buschtire brothers. Kurt, don't say a certain word! And Kyle Buschtire, why are you wrecking other cars? What are you, the mean yellow car? And of course, Ryan Newcar is the Rocket, and Jeff Burnton is the Jumper. And the 18th race of the 2010 Piston Cup season will be coming out, hopefully very soon. Unfortunately, the 2022 Russian invasion of Ukraine is still going on. It's now been over 6 months since the invasion has begun. The Ukrainian people just want to live in peace and have freedom. But who stands in the way of this common dream? The Russian tyrant, Vladimir Putin, who's taking more land away from Ukraine. You already have enough of your own. And we at the hashtag KBullets YouTube channel will continue to stand with Ukraine as they are fighting against tyranny. Slava Ukraini! Heroyam Slava! Or in English, glory to Ukraine! Glory to the heroes!